Welcome to the Monday Morning Wake Up Call with your host, Kerry Ramage, managing broker at Remax Elite, and Heather Holiday, your social marketing nut, talking about hottest real estate topics with a little weekly activity and motivation for the week. Well, good morning and happy Monday.
Monday morning after a time change.
Yeah, I didn't even notice it yesterday until all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, why are my dogs wanting food? And I looked and it said 6 o'clock, and I'm very
Oh, that's funny.
About my dogs needing food.
Right.
So I was all thrown off by that.
That's funny.
Or when Leo wanted lunch yesterday, and I'm like, it's 10 o'clock, because one of the clocks obviously doesn't change. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I have one clock that I haven't changed yet, and I have it just laid face down next to my bed, so I won't look at it.
Yeah, apparently Leo's clock with his alarm isn't like mine, just automatically changes its battery. So if I lose power, it's still there. Not that I need an alarm, and he does. So he had to figure out how to change that. All that fun stuff. But yes, so we lost an hour, but I like the lighter later.
Yeah, see, I'm the opposite. So I'm happier if I'm okay with it getting darker earlier, because I have a hard time getting moving in the morning with the sun not being up. So, yeah. But it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, you'd think I'd be used to it after 54 years, but I'm clearly not. Oh well. Oh well. So just quick updates, but you're back from R4, which was awesome. You're feeling better, which is good. And you had a little snow.
Yeah, it's like 4 inches of snow, which is crazy. I mean, it's all gone. I mean, that's the good thing about the snow here is easy come, easy go.
Right.
So take the pictures, enjoy the winter wonderland, because once that sun comes out, it'll be gone. It's just crazy because it was 70 the day before. The weekend before, it was almost 80, which was awesome because I hate February. I'm like over the cold, over all of that stuff. Like, okay, the holidays are gone. Bring me some flowers and, let's go play. So it was a little crazy to see we got so much snow, but it was beautiful and it's all gone now. And hopefully that's just the end. And you have like this really bizarre look on your face.
I'm trying to, I'm just doing stuff on my, making posts and getting my pages set up correctly. And yeah. Just
and
getting all set up.
One of them doesn't show you.
Correct. So one of it was like 2 minutes behind, so it wasn't live. And I was like, wait, I need to know what's going on now because I want to see the posts and I want to see the comments.
You had one of those looks on your face for sure.
Yep. Yeah. It is what it is.
R4 was great, very informative. It was almost a surreal week. With 7,000 people in 45 countries. Almost like the pandemic never happened kind of thing. It was
wow.
It was just I don't even know the words. Like last year it was very small, intimate in Orlando. My soul needed that kind of energy. This week, I've been in bed all week with being sick, but it was just very different. It was very emotional. And I think a lot of that is because I sit in my little she shed, Zooming 24/7. To be around that many people it was great, but it was just weird.
Wow.
I don't know. It's just very surreal. It was wonderful to see that many people, but I felt old because I was in bed before 10 every night, which has never happened. other than the concert night, which I almost didn't go to because I was like, I know one song and, not sure about being around like the craziness of that. But I'm so glad I did go. And that was just, one of my friends had an extra ticket, so I just bought it.
Awesome.
But that was super nice. But yeah, it's just like a surreal, everything about it was crazy and very informative. I think Buffini was my favorite. I've listened to it a couple times.
It's amazing to me that Brian Buffini, who we've been following kind of since I started with Remax in 2006, is still producing great, relevant content coaching.
Well, it's super best concert. It was amazing. I would go see him again in a heartbeat.
That's the one thing I'm sorry about missing, because I am a Zac Brown Band fan, and I would have liked to have seen it.
And I was like, no rush to get there. Didn't really, it was just something to do. And I can't believe that was how I felt, because amazing, absolutely amazing.
Good.
Yeah, Buffini, I think, and a lot of it was just the stats that everyone can get from NAR, but the way he was able to break it down, and yes, you have the graphics, but everything in between that, kind of going over each of these stats and graphics, were super helpful, insightful, knowing how this is so different than the 2008, and all of that craziness.
Right.
It was just very informative, and I'm glad that they were able to have it where I could go and rewatch it, because I was doing that last week.
Well, the big stat that I thought was interesting was 90% of all sales were done using a listing agent. 90%, which is awesome. And I believe 7% were for sale by owners and 1% were iBuyers, which is a great stat. Clearly,
but and of the 7%, 3.5 of those were basically transferred between family members.
Right.
So really, you almost don't, those are just kind of like deed transfers between family members.
Right.
Because we have seen a lot of the cash and, kind of in-house, family member mortgaging, whatever that is. So, which is the best it's ever been. And a lot of people go nuts for the iBuyers, but to see that's 1%.
1%.
It's so obsolete.
Yeah.
It's not even a thing. And of course, I don't know if that'll change, if the market change, or if that's the way it was maybe 2 years ago, when that market was just about to kind of flip to more of like a buyer's market. It was really super close to doing that transformation, which I get excited about, because it kind of gets all these people who sell 1 or 2 houses a year to getting real jobs or whatever. But so I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but yeah, it's like people were so afraid when all of this iBuyers and all this technology, that the real estate agents were going to become obsolete.
Right.
And that stat totally proves the opposite, that, people, especially I think now, and I think we all, in this Zoom virtual kind of world, we want that physical, belly to belly handshake, especially in something this, these kind of transactions that are so big.
For sure. I mean, for sure. So I just think people look to us as the experts, and we provide value that, you can't, some people can do it on their own, but not that many. It's a very complex transaction. It's not just about putting your listing in the MLS. It's about what happens in the preparation from the days that you meet until it goes in the MLS. And then from when it goes into the MLS, the negotiating, the multiple offer scenarios, the guiding the seller to choose the right buyer, the right contract, the right offer, and then what transpires from that day until closing. I mean, that's really where the work is. The work isn't, oh, I put it online and the world can see it. There's so much more to it. And it's great to see that the general public sees the value in what we bring.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
we're in a super low inventory situation, and inventory is really only low because you don't have any listings. So let's talk about how we can get some more listings. One of the big ones is go through your database, go through your CRM, see who you've sold a home to, and offer them, or just prepare a CMA and send it to them, whether you send it via mail, courier, electronically, letting them know what their home is now worth.
Yeah, I found it fascinating that, people have on average gained $56,000 in equity in the last year. I mean, that's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't do that anywhere. I mean, it's crazy. So to not reach out to these, your past clients that you've helped, to let them know where they're at, where, I mean, that house is really part of their portfolio. It could be, I know for me, it is part of my retirement portfolio is to
Right.
have all this equity. I mean, to pay cash, and we got a small loan on it, but really for me, it is part of my retirement.
Right. Exactly.
So I am always checking on that. But it would be kind of cool if my agent would kind of provide
You would
details.
how cool would it be to just get that in the mail or get that in your email and just say, just touching base. Here's, a comparative market analysis showing you what your home value is worth now. And Jamie just posted a really great question. In this market where there's so many multiple offers, is it a buyer's agent more important to get an advantage? And I would say yes. You need someone. Look, in the state of Florida, we're what's called transaction agents, which means you really are working more for the transaction than you are for either the seller or the buyer. But if I'm the listing agent and I've already made what do you say that a connection with the seller, and now a buyer is coming directly to me to buy, it's very hard to negotiate that, right? Because you're trying to do what's best for your seller, and now you're representing this buyer. You're trying to do what's best for the buyer. But if you have an agent, a buyer's agent, who knows what's going on with the market, knows what will look best to make your offer stand out, is going to hold your hand throughout the process. And a lot of times we say this, a lot of times in this competing market, an experienced agent who is known in the real estate community, there are many times that my buyer's offer may not be the best buyer, not the best buyer. They are the best buyer, not the best offer, but the terms may be better. But the other agent on the other side, chances are, has done a transaction with me. They know that I know how to hold it together. They know that I am presenting a pre-qualified buyer. They know that I vetted my buyer. Our relationships really play a big role in that.
And the agent's reputation, 100%.
Yeah.
Because it is a lot of work, and a lot of what goes on in a transaction happens after the contract.
Yeah.
It's everything
after
in between.
Yep. And after they've signed on the dotted line, it's the inspection. And even though we do as is contracts, is the buyer asking for repairs, and are they frivolous? And are you working with your buyer to get them to understand in this market, frivolous repairs is probably not a great thing. Are you keeping up with whoever the buyer's lender is? Although there's so many cash deals these days. I don't know where everybody's getting this cash from, but there's a lot of people with a lot of cash out there.
That was a stat, and why we're not in that same kind of bubble that maybe before, because before it was, 100 and something plus financing from everybody's brother's cousin, sister was a lender and offering all these crazy mortgages. Whereas now, one of the stats, I believe it was like 65% kind of paid cash or have positive equity in their home because a lot of cash was put down, and there is a lot more cash involved with this. So that the equity that people have is insane.
So they're not going to be upside down. I mean, I'll use an example. There's a listing in a neighborhood that was listed at $750,000, and it just closed at $977,000, and it was a cash sale. I'd be really nervous if that was not a cash sale, but that was a cash sale. So there's no negative equity there. You know, the cash is just amazing. So anyway,
crazy. Sure. But when you look at how much you're getting in equity, I mean, it's a good investment.
Yeah. Yeah, Barb. Wow. Like I saw it. Actually, an agent in my office sent it to me over the weekend, and they were like, "Can you believe this?" And I was just like, "No, it's nuts." But so another great tip is go through your tax records, look at who has a out-of-state mailing address, send them postcards, connect with them, seeing if they're interested in selling. Because in those cases, those people they're either second homes or vacation homes. And what I've noticed a lot recently is we have a lot of second home snowbirds who probably fully have the intent to sell their house elsewhere and live here. But as they're getting older and they're realizing they need the help of their family who's still in the state where their first home is, they end up selling the home here because the back and forth isn't working for them anymore. And then they don't want to be here without family. So go through your tax records, find the out-of-state addresses, and send postcards and make contacts with those homeowners.
And I know when I had started a property management division at a company, that was my number one way of growing that, but also providing leads on sales, because it was whether if you need a property manager to manage that second
home. Yeah, that's genius.
Or are you thinking of selling? So it was that was my big way of building up a portfolio for property management, but also providing sales leads for the agents. And I mean, I was able to gain, 100 properties and, within a year's time easily, just by utilizing out-of-state, homeowners, non-homestead. And I know, that's a big thing in like Florida. We don't really have the homestead in Tennessee.
Oh, okay.
But the taxes are like not even $500 a year. So
wow. Wow.
That's really nice. Yeah. It's like, I think I pay like $462 for
that's crazy.
More land in the same size house as I had in Florida. It's kind of nutsos, but
wow.
So we don't have homestead. But
but the taxes are low. Good reason to move to Tennessee, right? Wow.
And we get snow in March when it's like, what, 6 days from spring?
I know.
Give me a break. Enough of that.
So another great tip is send out postcards or mailers to your buyers' areas of interest. So it's funny, I was talking to Steve over the weekend, and he has been canvassing neighborhoods for a buyer of his. And, those sellers who may not be sellers right now, homeowners, chances are they're going to hold on to that card. Will they contact you directly? Not necessarily, but when they get with their agent who's going to list their home, chances are they're going to say, hey, by the way, so-and-so contacted me. He has a buyer. Will you reach out to them? Or it just may urge them to list sooner rather than later because they know there are active buyers out there looking in their neighborhood.
And doing this is also a great way. So say you have somebody on the fence thinking of selling, but they don't know where they're going to go. So This is really how you can kind of canvas a neighborhood. Like, I have somebody who loves your neighborhood. This is where they're looking to be, in order to put their house on the market. So it's almost like trying to get the listing for someone to sell, because that, you have somebody who's on the fence would like to sell, but this is where they want to move. So it's kind of like being able to help those sellers before they put the house on the market to find them that house of where they want to go. And then it's just, that domino effect, because, well, this person, may want to sell, but now they want to move, but they would want to move over here. So it's almost like that domino effect, trying to find a listing before it's listed.
Right.
For, to get somebody who is wanting to sell, but not sure where to go. So you can like find them that house and stuff like that. So it's kind of like that domino effect.
And Kelsey has a great tip here. So get on HomeBot so you don't have to think about it, and that'll just send the market updates to your past sellers automatically. You don't even have to think about it. Set it and forget it. Set it and forget it. We always talk about this. Using your time wisely is super important. It's super important so that you can free up your time to be doing other things.
Yeah, I've heard some great things about the HomeBot.
Have you? Yeah, I'll have to look at it. I'm not familiar with it, but I'll take a look. But it's anything you can do to free up your time so you can be doing other things. Automate, 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 automate. Have a routine. That we talk about that even with like our calendars. We're setting our calendar and you have a routine. I wake up every day at 5:30. I do this from 5:30 till 6. I do that from 6 until 7. And so on and so forth. So HomeBot, you're just setting it and forgetting it.
Yep. No, so that's a good. I still like the personal letter for the CMA, but I love technology as well.
Right.
So.
And then make sure you're keeping in contact with your entire sphere. You may have somebody you sold a house to 6 months ago, and they, for whatever reason, are looking to move, or it might be time. So make sure you're keeping in contact with your entire sphere, whether it be through social media or emails, letters, texting, phone calls. We always say, constantly, you need to keep yourself front of mind with your people, and you want to make sure they're thinking about you when it's time to sell. And maybe you have people, maybe they're considering it, and your text just comes at the right time, and they say, "Oh, please do a CMA for me. Let me see what my house is worth," and then they'll make a decision on what they should do, whether it's time for them to move from Florida to Tennessee or wherever they want to go to retire.
There's been a lot. It's kind of crazy how many people that we know are like live down the street now. It's kind of weird. It's kind of cool.
Which is awesome,
Yeah.
So, and then agent referrals. That's a big thing, and I always tell people, we talk about this all the time. Make sure your profiles on all of the websites for all of the things you're on. So whether it's your Remax profile, make sure it has a photo. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm not referring to somebody who doesn't have a photo, because in my opinion, if you haven't taken the time to complete your Remax profile, then in my mind, you are not a thorough agent, right? So make sure all of your profiles are up to date. I just got another referral from Women's Council of Realtors last week. And interestingly enough, I'm a member of Women's Council of Realtors, but I'm not, on the board or anything like that. And this referral came from a past president in another market to me, not to another past president, and I don't know, but I would suspect it's because my profile is complete, and then they can go from my profile and they can Google me, and they're going to find me on Facebook. They're going to find me on Remax. They're going to find me on Google. They're going to find me certified residential specialist. So make sure all of your profiles are complete with all of the things that you do, all of the
because in my mind, if you're not wanting to update your own profile, I mean, this is your business. And if you don't care about your business, you're probably going to be sloppy with any business I bring to you, is kind of how I feel, because it's like having a shop and you don't even have a sign that says open.
Right.
Or, a name or whatnot. And because that is you. So if you're not that worried about yourself, how are you going to be with someone else?
Right. Yeah, I totally.
I don't know. That's just how I kind of, but of course, I think everybody here knows how much of a pet peeve that is for me. But, and also, I mean, if you're going to events, get involved. If there's always going to be like groups or events or conversations happening for specific, networking events and stuff like that. I know at this R4, they did everybody did little stickers and had these little maps. So you could put these stickers on, the states, so that you can make those connections, especially if you have people. I mean, there's always different states like Florida and Tennessee and stuff like that, California, Arizona, Texas, all of that. So you want to be able to find those referral partners. So don't, be invisible, be visible, and networking with these other agents in your area. And, I always tell people, when you go to these type of events, if you're going with people from your office, go away from the people from your office and
scatter
people. Right, because that's where the magic is going to happen, to be able to meet all these different referral partners. And not only that is, business to business wise, you get so much great information from other, top producers that are doing this, this, and this. You can learn from them and put your own spin on it.
Right.
Versus if you're just hanging out with the people from your office, it's where your comfort zone is. I get it. Get out of your comfort zone, because that's where that magic and growth is going to happen. So.
Well, and that's huge. And I think a lot of times, I hear from agents, oh, I'm not going to R4. There's nothing I need to learn, or I'm not going to Florida Realtors Convention, or, but the biggest part of all of that is the networking and the making contact with other agents, so that when they have, especially where we are, we get, for us, referral is huge here in Brevard County. People are retiring here. People are moving here. People are moving here with the space program. People are moving here, just to retire or get second homes, or they can work from home now and they can live anywhere. And our home prices, even though I just gave this crazy example of a house selling for $200,000 more than it was listed for, we still have very affordable housing as compared to other markets. So if you're out there networking with other agents and it comes time to refer business, your name is going to come to the top of the mind. And sometimes I have agents in our office, we have a referral group, and they'll say, well, it's the same agents who get recommended all the time. And it's because it's those same agents who are out there networking. They're networking, they're making the connections, they're working with other agents, they've done past referrals. So it makes sense for them to get referred again. You have to be out there and put yourself out there for people to get to know you and to know that you're a good agent.
That they can trust you. I mean, and that's where I think like social really helps, in the different groups and stuff like that, because you really get to know somebody. And then at these events, no matter what event it may be, it's like you get to take that online, offline. And that's where, for me, like the magic of, the RE/MAX convention or any of these others, it's because sometimes I forget, like, I've never met you in person. And that's
right.
crazy. That's crazy. And it's like, we do all these Zoom calls every week with a bunch of ladies, and, some of them, they're from New Zealand and stuff like that. And to be able to just hang out with them, and you forget, like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot, like, you live on the other end of the world.
Right.
And now we get to just kind of hang out and, in person, and you forget, like, I can't believe we've never met in person. Just, I don't know.
Right. Well, and it's funny. So just two great examples of that. Melissa Carrington, who's up in New York, somehow, whatever, we friended each other on Facebook from one of our groups. And I always look at the person and I see, who do we have in common that are friends? Do I need to friend them? And I'm looking, and she's friends with all of my cousins. So I friended her and immediately messaged her, like, what the heck? How do you know? And then we ultimately met at R4. And, and every once in a while she'll meet my cousin out somewhere and she'll send me a picture of the two of them together, and it's so fun when you can make that connection.
It's a very small world. I just happen to have that. And it was in the R4 group, and we we're sharing pictures of our pets, like when we came home, and there was another person who had a ginormous dog. So I totally relate. So all of a sudden, we posted different pictures and we're talking about our dogs. And then she sends me a message and she's like, are you, that's the same one that does, the Bouge websites? And how do you know this person?
Right.
And, she's in Colorado, I'm in Tennessee, and this other person who's my stepbrother, like their dad married my stepsister's mom, kind of thing. So
right.
We just call each other like our stepbrother, right? Well, they went to high school together, so we're mutual friends. And it's like, how do you know him? And then this is really weird because we both have these big dogs, and we're having this whole conversation. And wait, are you the same person that I keep hearing about that I need to get with? And this is really weird.
Right.
So all these states, and it's like, just it's a very small world. And
it really is. I mean, Maureen Houston, she went to school in New York with customers of mine. She's still in touch with those people via, I don't know, via Facebook or more, or if they went to a school reunion, and somehow it came up that I was their agent, and then she friended me on Facebook. She lives in Hilton Head now. I live here, and that's how she and I first connected.
It is such a small world, but it's just stop being a secret agent, get yourself out there, whether you're communicating with your customers, networking with other agents, making sure to let your past clients know like what the equity is, what their portfolio is worth, and then if you do need, if someone's not sure if it is the right time to sell or not, helping them find the home of their dreams, of where they would want to go, by sending letters to these areas to help get those listings, and doing the same, that whole domino effect. It's definitely going to help get you those listings and, business and all of that fun stuff. So
right.
I think, let's see, what else is going on? What do we have for our weekly activity? Do you know what that is?
Yes. So this week, contact 25 of your past customers prior to 2021, reach out to them and see if they are interested in getting a CMA, to see either how much equity they have in their home or if they might be interested in selling. Let them know where their price point is. And
I would just prepare that, and whether you mail it or whether you send it electronically, do the work so they can actually look at that.
Right.
I would say that. And then the words of wisdom this week are: a little progress each day will add up to big results. So even though we're saying like prepare a CMA for 25 people, baby step it. Don't overwhelm yourself. All these different ideas that we have, baby step it, because it will be big results. And I know we do this when we do our business planning is, don't overwhelm yourself with, I have to do all of this. Break it down into baby steps, and that'll be big results by the end of the year. So
exactly. And just kind of back to the planning your day and the calendar, just block out some time that goes under your prospecting block. So if you only have an hour for prospecting, then only do 5 CMAs every day, or whatever that number is, so that you're not,
don't overwhelm yourself, because then you won't get anything done and nothing gets accomplished. So baby step it to get those big results by the end of the year. And, if you do a little bit by time blocking, do a little bit, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, it becomes a pattern and a habit. And then that's just one thing that you're able to add to your pillar of your different prospecting and stuff like that. So
exactly.
Don't overthink things. Just baby step it for big results. And I know we have some other great shows, but until next week, wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Bye, guys.